Hi everyone, welcome back to another fun-filled lesson and information-packed lesson of Actual English. My name is Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 102, and today let's continue on talking about bullying. In our previous lesson, we talked about cyberbullying. Today, let's move on to school bullying. So what was it like when you were in school? I don't know how old you are because we have a lot of viewers that are in their 50s, 60s, even starting from their teenage years. So if you are in school right now, do you witness bullying at school? Or for the older generation, have you witnessed anything similar to bullying? Because I would say I'm somewhere in the middle, right? But when I went to school, I don't think there was really much bullying going around. Of course, there were kids that would pick on some kids because they were too smart, and they were jealous. But I don't think there was anything violent going on. But it's sad that there is cyber and even school bullying going on these days. So, who do you think bullies others? Why do you think there are bullies? Why do you think that bullies bully others? People say that, these kids may have problems at home. So, for example, their parents may be separated, or they may have other problems, such as their parents fighting all the time. Maybe their grades aren't too high and they're stressed out, and they need some way to vent all that out, because that can lead to depression. So it really is a very sensitive topic, but a very serious problem as well. Let's talk about that today. Let's begin with actual talk.
Peter, were you ever bullied at school?
It's a bit of a touchy subject, but I can remember once when I was really young, maybe 5 or 6, that I experienced a little bit of playground bullying at school.
What happened?
One guy was considerably bigger than me, and he used to rough handle me and maybe give me a punch in the gut or something like that. Nothing too violent or anything like that, but at the time, I was frightened, really.
Yes.
I was scared out of my wits. But I told the teacher, and it quickly stopped, which was good. So it was a simple case of good old-fashioned bullying. How about yourself, Rachel? Have you ever been the victim or even the dollar out of bullying?
I think I can remember being bullied, and I think that was more so because I was kind of like the oddball ethnically. I lived in a really homogenous area, so I was like the one Asian, which worked to my benefit at the same time because I was different, so people wanted to be my friend.
You stood out.
Exactly. So it was really rare that I got bullied, but there were a few occasions. But I think I was the kind of person to stick up for those who were being bullied.
Wow.
Because ever since I was little, I couldn't really stand injustices.
That's
so
amazing.
I'd be like, stop making fun of that person and things like that.
You'd go on to bully the bullies? No, not quite.
I guess kind of, if you think of it that way.
But kids, they pick up on the minutest details. If something's different, if someone sticks out, then some kids will always pick on that.
That's true. They're very observant.
Yeah.
But I think that I read somewhere that these bullies, they end up bullying at school physically or in person because they have a lot of issues on their own that they're dealing with.
Sure, I think many of them come from broken homes and things like that.
Or even just little insecurities, right? Maybe not doing so well at school, so they need to stand out in other ways and try to gain popularity and friends other ways. Because nobody wants to be friends with the underdog.
No.
People always want to be friends with the more powerful looking person.
Yeah, I think in many cases the bullies are just seeking attention.
Right, exactly.
Well, Peter has made a point in the very end of today's actual talk. He's mentioned something about how these bullies, perhaps they're trying to get attention. They're seeking attention, which is kind of sad. And it kind of makes me think, so who is the victim? The bullies or the ones that are getting bullied? Because even the bullies, they may be going through a difficult time at home and they just don't know how to control their feelings or their anger or even their depression. Anyhow, I do say that school bullying is never the right thing to do. Let's get straight to it. Now, Rachel says, Peter, were you ever bullied at school? So she's asking about Peter's past experience when he was younger. Were you ever bullied at school? He says it's a bit of a touchy subject. I did mention earlier on that today's topic is a rather sensitive topic. You can also say it is a touchy subject, which means that it is sensitive. So it's a touchy subject. It's a sensitive subject. But I can remember once when I was really young, maybe 5 or 6, that I experienced a little bit of playground bullying at school. So what is playground bullying? We know what cyberbullying is. We know what school bullying is. What is playground bullying? It's simple, not difficult. Bullying that happens in the playground. Okay? So Rachel asks, what happened? Let's find out. He says, one guy was considerably bigger than me. He was pretty bigger than me. And he used to rough handle me. Rough handle? Handle, we're not talking about a handle as in a steering wheel of a car. We're talking about how to control something or to deal with. But rough handle is an idiomatic expression. Another way of putting it is rough somebody up. So you can say, he used to rough handle me, or he used to rough me up, which means to threaten to harm. Simply put, beat up, to hit and kick someone. Okay, so it means to beat up, rough handle, be really, really rough on someone. Maybe give me a punch in the gut or something. What is gut? We went over this a long, long time ago. Gut is an informal, a slang for stomach. So he's saying he would give me a punch in the gut. He would punch me in the stomach, in other words. At the time, I was really frightened. At the time, when it happened, I was really scared. I was scared out of my wits. Be scared out of someone's wits. Wits is very similar to someone's mind, okay? So you can say, I was scared out of my mind. I was scared out of my wits, which means I was very, 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 very scared, okay? You were just stressing it. But I told the teacher, and it quickly stopped, which was good. And then he asks, how about yourself, Rachel? So now the question is for Rachel. Rachel says, I think I can remember being bullied. And I think that was more so because I was kind of the oddball ethnically. Okay, let's take a look at the sentence. We've got some interesting words here. First of all, she says that she has experienced bullying. She says, I can remember being bullied. So she was bullied, but it was why? It was because she was kind of the oddball. Ball, we all know. Ball, we have a baseball, basketball, tennis ball, soccer ball, and so forth. But what is odd? O-D-D. Odd, of course, we can talk about even numbers and odd numbers, such as 1, 3, and 5, which are odd numbers. But odd can also mean strange and weird. So when you say that somebody is an oddball, you're saying that that person is kind of strange, eccentric, weird, okay? So, but she's saying ethnically. Ethnic. Ethnically, we're talking about one's origin, such as a country or culture, for example, or even a race. So she says, I lived in a really homogeneous area. Now, if you say homogeneous, you are considering everything to be pretty much the same, okay? Almost the same. Everyone is considered to be the same. So she lived in an area where there was no prejudice, okay? Everyone was pretty kind to each other, no matter which country or race you were from. So I was the one Asian. Aha! So she lived in a neighborhood or an area filled with people from other nations, perhaps many Americans, but she was the only Asian. And Peter says, oh, wow. Anyhow, Rachel says, it worked to my benefit, meaning, well, it benefited me. It was an advantage for me at the same time because I was different. I was different. Being different is not always so bad. You can be different in a good way too. You can be unique, different and unique. So she's saying it wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty nice. It worked to my benefit. So because I was different, people wanted to be my friend. And you said you stood out, meaning you were easy to see, you were easy to spot, you were different. Now, Rachel says exactly. So it was really rare, meaning seldom, that I got bullied, but there were a few occasions. Okay. So Rachel is saying that she rarely got bullied. There were not many times that she got bullied. But here, a few occasions. Occasions itself means instances, for example. But what does a few mean? Do you know the difference between a few and few? There is a difference. A few something means a couple of something. But if you say few occasions, it means a small number of, thus not many. Anyhow, she's saying that it was rare, so it occurred rarely, seldom. Now, I think I was the kind of person to stick up for someone. Stick up for those who were being bullied. So, she was the type of person that would stick up for kids that were actually being bullied, the victims. But what does stick up for mean? It's an idiomatic expression. Now, to stick up for somebody means to support somebody, to be there for somebody, to fight for that person, okay? To help out. So it means to support somebody, okay? Stick up for. Now, Peter says, wow, that's amazing. Of course, when you're young, it's not easy to stick up for your friends, right? So she was a brave girl. She says, so I'd be like, she's giving an example of what she used to do or say. I'd be like, hey, stop making fun of that person. That is what she used to say when she saw kids or friends at school getting or being bullied. She would walk up and say, hey, stop bullying my friend. Stop being mean to my friend. Stop teasing my friend. So she would stick up for her friends. Now, Peter says you would go on to bully the bullies. He's joking. So he's saying, wait a minute. If you did that, you would become a bully too. So you bullied the bullies, he says. Well, Rachel says, I guess kind of, if you think of it that way, but not really. Now, but kids, they pick up on the minutest details. They pick up on something. To pick up on something means to notice something. They pick up on something. They notice. They're very fast at noticing things. Now, the minutest, we've got EST, but minute, it means very, very small, tiny, for example. So they pick up on a lot of the small things, the unimportant things, for example. If something's different, or if somebody sticks out, meaning stands out, then some kids will always pick on that. In this case, it means to tease. So if they see something, if they catch something, if they notice something, pick up on something, they will bully the kids for that, okay? That's true. They're very observant, okay? They have a watchful eye. But you know, I think that I read somewhere, she's talking about reading perhaps an article or something, that these bullies, they end up bullying at school. Why? Because they have a lot of issues of their own. Here we're talking about problems. So she is simply saying, you know, I read somewhere that bullies bully other kids because they have a reason. And the reason, or one of the reasons, is that they have their own problems. They have a lot of issues of their own. Now, Peter says, sure, I think many of them come from, meaning are from, broken homes and things like that. What is a broken home, though? A broken home? A house or a home that is broken, that is collapsed? No. A broken home actually means a family where the mother and father are separated or divorced, or you may have parents that are fighting all the time, yelling at each other all the time, very angry. So the kids end up to be very depressed. They have a very difficult time. They're very sad. So broken homes, simply put, are families that are set apart or separated. And then she adds, or even just little insecurities. Insecure is what? Insecurity means self-doubt. You're not confident in yourself. So maybe even just little insecurities. Maybe they're insecure about themselves, okay? Maybe not doing so well at school. This could be a reason they're not doing well at school. So they need to stand out. They need the attention. They need to be different in other ways and try to gain popularity because nobody wants to be friends with the underdog. What is an underdog? An underdog is a person that tends to lose all the time in things such as a contest. A person that rarely succeeds, that always does not do well. So if you want to talk about someone who always fails and has a little chance of winning, underdog is the word you want to use. Simply put, an underdog is almost the opposite of popular or the best. Okay? So we're talking about the underdog. You know, people always want to be friends with the more powerful looking person. That's true. And then Peter says, yeah, I think in many cases, the bullies are just seeking attention. They're looking for attention. All they're doing is looking for attention, asking for attention, seeking attention. I think that's true. Could be a reason, but once again, it's the wrong thing to do, right? Bullying should be stopped. Okay, let's have a listen one more time.
Peter, were you ever bullied at school?
It's a bit of a touchy subject, but I can remember once when I was really young, maybe 5 or 6, that I experienced a little bit of playground bullying at school.
What happened?
One guy was considerably bigger than me, and he used to rough handle me and maybe give me a punch in the gut or something like that. Nothing too violent or anything like that. But at the time, I was frightened. Really.
Yes.
I was scared out of my wits. But I told the teacher, and it quickly stopped, which was good. So it was a simple case of good old-fashioned bullying. How about yourself, Rachel? Have you ever been the victim or even the dollar out of bullying?
I think I can remember being bullied, and I think that was more so because I was kind of like the oddball ethnically. I lived in a really homogenous area, so I was like the one Asian, which worked to my benefit at the same time because I was different, so people wanted to be my friends.
You stood out.
Exactly. So it was really rare that I got bullied, but there were a few occasions. But I think I was the kind of person to stick up for those who were being bullied.
Wow.
Because ever since I was little, I couldn't really stand injustices.
That's
so
amazing.
I'd be like, stop making fun of that person and things like that.
You'd go on to bully the bullies. No, not quite.
I guess kind of, if you think of it that way.
But kids, they pick up on the minutest details. If something's different, if someone sticks out, then some kids will always pick on that. Right?
That's true. They're very observant.
Yeah.
But I think that I read somewhere that these bullies, they end up bullying at school physically or in person because they have a lot of issues on their own that they're dealing with.
Sure, I think many of them come from broken homes and things like that.
Or even just little insecurities, right? Maybe not doing so well at school, so they need to stand out in other ways and try to gain popularity and friends other ways. Because nobody wants to be friends with the underdog.
No.
People always want to be friends with the more powerful looking person.
Yeah, I think in many cases the bullies are just seeking attention.
Right, exactly.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about school bullying, and we had another listen to today's actual talk. Now let's move on to actual expressions, and first of all, check out some vocab words. Let's quickly go through them. Oddball was what? Odd itself means kind of strange, weird. So if a person is called an oddball, you're saying that that person is different. Strange, kind of weird. A synonym is weirdo. This word is informal, so keep that in mind. Homogeneous, that's the pronunciation. Homogeneous. One more time. homogeneous. We're talking about similar, okay? Similar as in ethnicity, for example, okay? Homogeneous. Minute. This word, it is spelled the same way as minute. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 60 seconds is 1 minute, but the pronunciation is minute. Minute. It's pronounced very differently, and it means tiny, minimal, very, very small. Okay, as in number, size, amount, or even degree. And a broken home is what? Once again, a broken home is usually referred to a family where the parents, the mother and father, are separated or they're set apart because of a lot of conflict and fighting, thus leading to children becoming very angry and depressed and very sad. Insecurity, you can be insecure, meaning you lack confidence. So, some synonyms for insecurity is self-doubt, uncertainty, even anxiety. And last but not least, underdog is pronounced underdog. Stress goes on the first syllable. Let's move on to some patterns then. Now, rough someone up. Remember, to beat someone up? Okay, let's take a look at a sample sentence. The bullies would rough him up on a weekly basis. A weekly basis, meaning every week, okay? The bullies would rough him up on a weekly basis. In other words, the bullies would beat him up on a weekly basis. My brother got roughed up. We're talking about someone's brother. My brother got roughed up for no reason. For no reason. My brother got roughed up. He got beat up or beaten up for no reason. Moving on to stick up for someone. You're standing tall, you're sticking up for someone, you are defending someone or supporting someone, okay? Here's a sample sentence. If somebody has helped you out by supporting you or defending you or taking sides with you, you can say, thanks for sticking up for me. Okay, one more time. Thanks for sticking up for me. Okay, so maybe you're at the office and your boss yells at you for no reason. Then perhaps a coworker or a friend walks up and says, you know, my friend didn't do anything wrong. All right, that person is supporting you or defending you. Then you can say, hey, thanks for sticking up for me. Okay, what about this one? Why didn't you stick up for her? Why didn't you stick up for her? She's your sister. Why didn't you stick up for her? Why didn't you defend your sister? She's your sister. That's something you could say. What about this one? Our final pattern is make fun of someone or something. Make fun of. It means to tease, harass, even ridicule, mock, for example. Don't make fun of people's accents. Do not make fun of people's accents. Because people from all over the world, we all speak different languages, and thus we have different accents, right? The Dutch have their own accents. Okay, the British have their own accents. So you can say, don't make fun of people's accents. What about this one? One final sentence is, or rather question, are you making fun of my hair? Are you making fun of my hair? Hey, I just got a haircut. And someone's laughing or giggling. You can say, are you making fun of my hair? Are you teasing me because of my hair, for example? All right, that is all for today's actual expressions, vocab, as well as patterns. So please do practice more of them or them more on your own.